Hi, this is Andrew, and I want to show my process for creating this text stagger up animation with the mask. So the basic idea of this is that there's a box. Let's click on the rectangle mask here. I'm using this rectangle mask here, and the text is starting below the mask, and it's going into the mask. So let's try to create that. I'm going to create a text here. I have a new composition. Let's call it Stagger Up. Okay, let's give it some properties. And then I'm going to center it. Make it a little bigger. And I'm going to create a duplicate of this basically. So that I'm going to link some of the properties so that I can use a duplicate as an input into my bounding box, because I want to take some of the properties from that, and let's call it Stagger Up Duplicate. Okay, so let's link the position. Oh, I'm at the duplicate. Let's link the position, string, the font size, and I'll do alignment as well. And vertical alignment. Okay, great. So let's link that to the bounding box. Let's create the bounding box and then link the duplicate to the input. And now I have the properties here. They should be pretty much the same. Yes. And let's hide the duplicate. So I'm going to create a submesh for our original text so I can access the letters and words in them. So we'll go to deformer and we'll create a submesh here. Let's put that in our original text. And then let's also create a rectangle and give it the properties of the bounding box. And this is going to be our mask. So let's bring up the bounding box. I'm going to give the rectangle the bounding box position. And remember, the input is our duplicate. And I'm going to give it the size as well. Okay. And we're going to use this rectangle as the mask here. Great. Okay, so again, we want the text to start below, so let's create in our submesh for the text, let's create a value blend for the Y position. Value blend. And our original start position for the Y position will be the height of the bounding box. So I'm going to bring up our bounding box here. If I do it like this, it's going to be above, so let's give it a negative value so that starts below. And let's create a couple keyframes. So let's start at 0 here. And then let's go to, let's see, I'll go to 20. And then bring this up to 100. So you can see here, it's already starting to move up like this, and then it should be at its final spot. And then let's also create in our submesh. Let's do a stagger for our time offset. gonna tuck this in here. And I'll link the maximum and the offset and just give it a negative value for the offset. And let's start this at like 10. And I'm also going to give this an ease. Oh, actually, so I'll show here. So now it's offsetting a little bit. It's going the opposite direction by doing the last one first. So let's switch the graph. Okay, great. And then let's give this an ease of slow and slow out. And okay, great. So that's kind of what one line looks like for staggering up. And you can mess with the properties. So when I try to do this with multiple lines, I create background shapes inside the text. So each line would have their own rectangle masks. And I use this text background as the mask inside the text shape. But the issue that I came upon was that it acted as one big mask and it didn't just contain its own the mask didn't just mask its own line. So when I went up, the first line of text would be seen in the second row of the mask. So my thought process was to try to scale down the masks at the same time the text was going up. So let's go into that. Okay, I'm in a new composition here. Let's start by creating a text and we'll give it 2 lines. So stagger up, multiple lines. Great. And we'll give it some attributes. Let's see. And let's center this. Cool. Let's also give this a submesh. And we'll give it a back. I'm going to put that submesh inside the text. And we'll give it a background as well. Great. I'm going to take out the fill and just put in the stroke here. And I'll give this background a submesh as well. Cool. So we can access all the shapes inside of it. Let's also make sure that the center pivots are on for both submeshes. So this one's on. Let's go into the one for the background. And then also I'm going to link the, just so I don't get confused, this one's for the text. I'm going to link the level mode to the submesh for the background as well. Okay, great. And then in the text, let's go into the background and change, this can be either line, paragraph, word or character, but for our case, let's change it to character for this time. And we'll put the background shape as the mask of the text. Okay, great. Let's make the background still visible. Okay, since we're not using bounding box to get the exact measurements of the line dimensions, we're just going to adjust the dimensions of the background using a few JS maths. So like these are a little bit too, these can work, but the effect is better if it matches the text as closely as it can. So I'm going to use JS math in the for ascender and also descender adjustments. Let's see. And I'll create one for here too. Great. And I'll put both of these in the text here. Okay, I skipped ahead a little bit here, but I put in this formula. The first number is the font size, and just to get close to the top and bottom, I left some room for, I tested this out a little bit before, but I left some room for the descenders, for the text characters. But what worked for me was, and this can be adjustable, I would, if you have the pro version, I would add this to a control center just to adjust them later. For a descender, I multiply it by -0.05, and then for the ascender, I multiply font size by -0.2, and that kind of gets me close to the top and bottom of where I want the mask to be. And let's say for the, okay, great. I'm gonna just group these. Okay, and then for the text submesh, let's create a value blend for the Y position, because again, we want to start from below the mask. Let's see, value blend. I'm gonna put that in the submesh here. For the first value, I'm gonna create another JS math and call it, let's see, JS math. I'll call it position Y value start. And I'm gonna put the font again as sort of the base. I'm gonna link this to the first value over here in the JS math. And I'll multiply it by a value that I tested out before to get below the masks. Okay, so we have our first value here that we want to go to. So let's go to the strength and let's go to 0%. Great. So at this point, when I put it at 0, it's it's pretty close to below the max. And then let's go to frame, let's say 10. And let's put 100 here. So right now we have something similar to what we had in our previous example that didn't work, where it's still showing in the second row of the mask. Let's also, for the time offset, let's give it a stagger. We can do that now. And I'm gonna just put this value at 10. I'm gonna link it here. I'm gonna put this at negative value. And it's going the opposite way, so I'm gonna again switch this. Great. So it goes like this, great. Okay, and I'm gonna link this time offset to this submesh in the background as well, because that's gonna need the same time offset as the characters. So now it's linked. And then for the, let's go into the submesh for the backgrounds now. Okay, for the scale, we'll go from 0 to 1. So why don't we just create a keyframe here? I'm gonna put this at 0. And then let's go to 10. And I'll go to 1. Okay, so let's take a look at how this looks. So when it's going up, the masks are showing up and the text is also going inside the masks. It happened a little bit fast, so I'll show it one more time. Basically, the scale of the mask is going up and the text is also increasing in Y position. And the time offset is the same. Let's give this ease so that it's a little bit smoother. And I'll turn off the stroke for this as well. We could still see a little bit of the green outline. And I think the last step that I'll do is I'll create an animation control just so that when I switch these values, if I'm moving them around a lot, since I know that they are they're taking the same amount of time in the frames, I'm gonna link them in the animation control so I can control them in one place. Okay, and then I'll just make a keyframe in the animation control here at 0, and then let's say I'll do another one at 20. That goes to 100, and let's see what this looks like. Okay, great. Looks pretty much at the speed that I wanted to go at. So this is for characters, doing it by individual characters, but you can also do this by words or line. How I would do that is going back into the original text. For the background, you can switch this to word or line. So let's try line. I would also switch the submesh level mode to also line, and because that's linked, it should also apply to the background as well. And then now I'll just go bring my frame so it's a little bit slower. Now it shows up by line, and maybe to give a better idea of where the masks are, now there are only 2 masks here. And that can be helpful. So it's not doing the exact same effect as the first one, because in the first one the masks are staying still and it's the same size. This one's increasing in size as the text position goes up. It's a different effect. But with this, let's see. So here's an example with doing it with words. And then I also liked how it looked in paragraphs. I also want to go over what values I'm sort of adjusting when I'm changing font properties, like the font size or different fonts. So in the JS mats, I'm adjusting, remember these are being multiplied by the font size values, but I'm adjusting the ascender. I have one also for the padding width, the background padding width, and then also for the descender. That it's being multiplied by. So, and also the position-wise start value of where it's starting. So, and this is the font size here. When I'm gonna click on this too, I'm in the text and going into the mask, I'm gonna click on this to sort of show where I have sort of my values right now. It's pretty close to the top. And it's gives some room for a descender, but let's say I switch, and these will be for the most part minor, but you might see like pixels of them. So let's say I switch this to a different font. Let's go a little bigger. Let's increase this and put this in the middle. Okay, and then let's take a look at where it's at now. So it's pretty good, but when I switch, let's say I have a G in here. Oh, that works pretty well. But if I want to get it closer to the top or bottom, then I can just adjust it over here. So let's say like I want it to be -0.9, and that'll be a little bit closer. So when I go back to the, I'll put 0.87. When I go back to the text and change the mask back, it'll just start like, it'll come a little bit like quicker from below and it's still masked. And I prefer that a little bit to having a lot of space under or below. But yeah, so these are the numbers that I would adjust. Thank you for watching. I'll have a link to the project file in the description as well.